part 2 of the previous video. So we're going to be still talking about the output that AMOS gives us. So as I was talking earlier, when we're looking at the indirect, direct, or total effects, we need to look at specific, particular lines that we are interested in. For example, my ultimate DV for this model is suicide risk. So if I look at this line, this value corresponds to the indirect effect of combat exposure on suicide risk. Again, this is not going to list out all the paths that are related to it, but that is something that you would have to do manually. So, and just like in previous tables, this table represents the unstandardized values, and the table at the bottom of the same table talks about or states the standardized indirect effects. All right, so this is how you would look at and pick out the values from the estimates tab. Another thing that we are interested in is the model fit, and you would be looking at a few model fit indices that we have talked in the lab about. One of it would be the chi-square value, and then we would be reporting the degrees of freedom, chi-square related to divided by degrees of freedom. And then we would also be reporting other indices like TLI, CFI, and RMSEA. And for each one, we are looking at the default model row. And then you're taking this value and comparing it against the model fit indices handout that I gave you. So in terms of whether it's a good fit or poor fit to the model and stuff like that, and you would state that in your interpretation. In addition to that, you can also run modification indices, and as I said before, these are going to tell you that what are the paths, if you include, would improve the model fit. So for example, it's saying up here that if I add a covariance between the error 1 and error 2 terms, so kind of like it seems like these both are correlated, and then in that sense it will improve the model fit to a certain degree. At the same time, it's also telling me that if I create a path from PTSD to capability, it's going to improve my model fit the most, and then capability to PTSD would also improve my model. So this is something that you can use when you are running your own analysis, just to see how can you improve the model fit. You won't be needing to report this information for the homeworks, but it's good to have when you are using your own data. So this is basically it. This is how you would report the output from AMOS. Another thing that we did in class was to run different models, and then compare their model fits to it. So for example, I have this model, and then I have, I read in literature that capability probably doesn't predict burden and belongingness, and maybe I want to see if my model gets better if I run my analysis without that path. So I can, first of all, I have to go back to the edit part of my path, and then I'm going to grab that erase objects and then cross that out, cross this line away, and then which is going to give me my second model, which is nested within my previous model because it has same variables in it. And then I'm going to run the estimates again, and then compare the chi-square value, and then calculate chi-square change, degrees of freedom change, and see if one model is different than the other. And you can get detailed information on that from your book and also in the notes. Another thing that I wanted to show you is that sometimes it happens that you work really hard and you create a model, but you realize that you've added the wrong variable. Now you could actually delete that variable and recreate your model, but there's an easy way to do that as well. So what I'm going to do, for example, I'm just going to just create. So for example, this is my path model, right? So instead of combat exposure, I realized, oh, it has to be, well, it was capability actually that I should be putting in here. And I don't want to mess up my model, so I delete it. So I'm going to go to list of variables in the model, drag capability on top where I have combat exposure. So basically what it's going to do is replace that variable with capability variable. And then I can just go in and fix that. And now my model has been updated with the correct information. So just a tip when you're using this, when you're running your model, and sometimes you have really complicated models that you've built. Um, another thing that I want to show you is how to actually save all of the tables that you've got. There are a couple of ways you can do it. One way could be to copy to clipboard. And if you click this, it's going to copy all the tables that are on the right side, and then you can paste them in the Word document. So let's see. So I copied them already, and I'm just going to paste. Um, and then now I have everything that I need. The good thing about this is that I can label this on top based on what model it is and stuff like that. It might need to be adjusted a little bit, but it's not something that's terribly hard to do. I just reduced the size of the font and it fixed things for me. So this is one way you can save the output. Another way is to print it. And you can print to a printer that you have, but I suggest saving it either in Word or Adobe PDF, which basically will help you save a soft copy, and then you can open it anywhere and carry it around with you and stuff like that. So you would have to go to each of the tab that you want to save and then copy and paste it or save it as PDF. I also suggest saving your models as well. And it's a good idea to, well, let me run this analysis to be able to save it. So now I have this model with my standardized estimates in it and I want to save it. I can do it several ways. I can copy the path diagram to the clipboard, and then I can copy it. For example, I want to paste it on top of my estimates. So this basically copied the whole page for me, which can be a lot of negative space, but there's one way you can do that. Another way would be to just take the snipping tool and just take the screenshot of it. And then this way it's also doing the same thing, and you just put it in your homework or just print it out. So just make sure that you are saving all of your work and then printing it, because if you don't have AMOS on your home computer, the files that are built in AMOS won't be able to open. All right, so hopefully this is helpful. And in Yeah, thank you.